Josh, why don't we jump in?
Awesome. So, what we're going to talk about today is how to use AI in Excel. And what I would recommend using is if you have Microsoft Excel, if you come here to add-ins, what you want to do is just search GPT. And there's one that's called GPT for Excel and Word. I already have it installed. So, but normally it would show up right there. And that's it. So you're going to add it, it'll show up, and it looks just like this. I started doing this and I realized like most folks might not have Microsoft Excel, but 100% of people have Google Sheets. So we're going to do this all in Google Sheets, but just know that it's the same thing. Whether you have Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, it's the same add-on. And yeah, it's going to be really fun.
And then Josh, where do
Actually,
you go to
yeah.
get that add-on again? Because I'm terrible guest. I was not paying attention. I was trying to get our little screen out of the way of the upper right, but I don't think that happened.
Sure. So if you're in Microsoft Excel, you're going to come here to where it says add-ins.
Got it.
You're going to click add-ins and then search for it right there. GPT for Excel and Word. Looks
Perfect.
just like that. In Google Sheets, what we're going to do is come up to extensions and click on add-ons, get add-ons, and we're going to do a search for GPT. And I like the one that's called GPT for Google Sheets and Docs. And so you'll install that add-on. That's free to install. Then when you come up here to extensions, you'll see it right there. So GPT for Sheets and Docs. And then you'll just open it and you'll see it up here on the left or on the right. The number of use cases that we can utilize this is obviously endless. I want to just spend a week playing with this. There's so many amazing things we could do. I think taking pretty much every Excel workbook you have and redoing it with AI would be really fun. But for today, I just loaded in a dozen examples that we're going to go through. But hopefully, this will just get your imagination running and you can learn that, hey, the world's a lot bigger than I thought, and there's some really cool things you can do. So for this example, I loaded in some data. We're going to talk about a couple different things. I know you mentioned that we're going to do some modeling, but before we get there, I thought, hey, let's look at a large set of data, as Excel's often really good with analyzing lots of data. So let's start with that.
And by
For
the
this,
way, on a couple recordings ago, we went through some modeling. That was really just on how to analyze, real estate deals quicker and easier. So you can go back and check that out. And I didn't want to, direct you or derail you as far as going in a certain direction. So I'll just let you do your thing. And if we touch on the modeling is always kind of top of mind for me because how do we analyze deals quicker?
yep. And this is going to be so good for that, like incredible. And you're going to see why. Because not only can we retrieve data from the web automatically, but now we can also analyze it. And we can do that not just for one scenario, but for 1,000 scenarios. And this is going to be so cool. So freaking cool. All right. So here we go. For this, we're not actually analyzing a property yet. I started macro and thought, okay, where would most people begin? And it would be, I just need to choose a market. And so I actually built a tool and anyone is welcome to use it. It's absolutely free. And this is where I pulled all the data. So you can go to hotastzip.com and this data is all updated monthly and it goes all the way down to zip. So if you already have your county and you're more looking at like what's the best zip code to go into, you would just go to the zip tab. But let's say you're in, and this is literally what I did. I went to California and I just said, okay, based on in California, let's get all this data. And I think I just right clicked and I said, show as table and I copied it all. So anyways, I pasted the data in here and now I can start analyzing it.
And that is your site
Yeah,
page,
yeah,
your,
yeah.
your
So
application.
absolutely free to use, hotastzip.com. And it's just got lots of data. So nothing to do with AI. It's just data. All right. Now the really, really cool part. This is like mind-blowing cool. What this does is we can now analyze each of these, all this data. So here's some sample data I brought in, which is like the county, the total single family homes, the percent of LLC absentee sales, the population of the county, the average home price of the county, the amount of competition in that county, the average rent in that county, the rent growth in that county, the percent Hispanic in that county, and I'll explain why in a minute, the metro population. So data. Now the cool part, with AI, there is a simple formula that you can use with this thing called GPT for Sheets, which is equals GPT. It's as simple as that. So if you feel like I can't write formulas, you can write this formula. It is equals GPT. That is it.
Hmm.
And then what you do is you literally just say what you want to ask. So for example, well, you can read my formula. I wrote, I am a real estate investor and plan to focus on lease options, also known as a rent to own strategy. Using the following headers and data, identify from a scale of 1 to 10 how likely you are to recommend this county and why. And then I gave it the headers, and then that was it. That's all the information I gave. And as you can see here,
Gave it the headers, meaning like copied and pasted all the.
I copied and pasted this headers
Yep.
because this formula is literally just looking at you. The formula goes equals GPT, what you want. So do this, and then you put comma, and then what data you want it to do on. So I wanted to do it on this row of data. So because
equal GPT, and then is that a bracket and a quote?
It's so equals. Thanks for slowing me down. This is why I love doing it with you,
No,
Rod.
I love
Okay.
when you get excited, but I'll go
GPT,
back to do this later and I'll be like, wait, what?
yeah, equals GPT. And if you don't know how to do any of this, if you come here to the right and you look at list of GPT functions, these are all the different functions that are available. And we're using this GPT-1 to start. I literally just started at the top and we're going to work our way down. So you can see here's the example of how to do it.
Beautiful.
That's it. So it's as simple as that. So equals GPT, open parentheses, quotation mark, what I want you to do on the following data is blah, close or quotation marks. I need to tell it on what data to do it on. So that's where I'm pressing comma and I'm selecting what data I want to do it on. And I want to do it on this row. So I just highlighted that row.
Okay.
Then I close the parentheses. So if I copy that formula down, and I could have really said anything, you're going to see it's going to calculate and it's ranking these counties, with that information. Now, this is not a very good prompt. And so I would spend a lot more time developing out that prompt. But this is an example of something you could do. So to really make this prompt incredible, I would feed it additional information, such as, I prefer home values with less that are less, the lower the home values, the better. And you have to teach it, but at the end of the day, it can do the analysis. Essentially, all it's doing is it's going to OpenAI, the GPT, which everybody uses, that chat bot, and it's copying this prompt that I'm giving it with this data, and that's it.
And then where does the result end up?
This is the result. I mean, the result's right here. The result is spit out.
This particular one we're ranking.
I'm ranking it, and I said, and why did you rank it that way? If we read that, and let me just open up a Word document. It might be easier to read in a Word document. So here's the answer it gave. Seems to be a good place for lease options. The county has a significant number of single family homes and a relatively low competition rate, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So that's why it ranked it an 8 out of 10. Now,
okay,
I would spend a lot more time if I was serious about this on creating the prompt. Everything is only as good as the prompt you give it. And so literally I wrote that prompt in 2 seconds as an example. You would want to spend a lot more time on it. The entire purpose of this is, hey, if you've got a row of data or a full table of data that you want to analyze. So in your example, if you have 50 properties that you want to analyze, you would load the different columns in of all that data, beds, bath, square footages, all of that. And then
Buy
you would
price, ARV, all that
exactly.
stuff. And then, yeah. And then you
Then
can
you
actually, the interesting thing on that would be you could probably add in data related to the neighborhood, the very, if it's in multiple different cities and, have it rank them to what deal you should go after. What's kind of the cream on the top.
exactly. And the key to all of this is that it's not going to be a better. Always think of OpenAI, at least for the next year, that it's dumber than you as far as you know more about how to be a real estate investor and how to analyze a property. But if you, just like you could train a VA on how to analyze a property, and if you wrote out 2 pages worth of instructions on how to analyze a property and how to think about it in different aspects, now it will do that job exactly per your instructions and do it 1,000 times a minute.
Which I think probably the strategy would be to just keep adding data and tweaking and getting it, better and better and better over time.
Yeah, and it's like not, and as far as like adding data, like the key there would be
Not
adding instructions.
Yeah, sorry, not
Yeah,
data. Not well, you could, but you want to give it more instructions based
exactly.
on what you're learning from the output it brings.
Exactly. Exactly. So we're on the same page. I love it. So that is the first prompt. It's called GPT. So as you can see, there's a whole lot to go through. So we're going to go to the next one. And this one is I actually combined GPT Web and GPT List. GPT Web just means that it can search the web. So you could say, go tell me what the average 30-year mortgage rate is today. And it will go search the web and it will return that result in a cell. Why is that great? Well, if you have a calculator that you're always running through all your properties through, and now you don't have to go look up that interest rate for your analysis, it's there in one cell and you never have to think about it. Here are some other examples that I gave. Now, GPT list is simply going to give you, I'll get through it. So let's start. So GPT web, here's the formula. It is literally as simple as that. Equals GPT, open parentheses, underscore web, because that's the formula. So GPT underscore web. And you don't have to remember it all. It's all right here in a list. So it's this last one. And then what do we want to do? We want to do open parentheses and then quotation mark and tell it what we want it to search the web for. So in my example here, I said, I'm a real estate investor and flip properties, and I'm always trying to raise capital. I want to show my Facebook followers that I'm intelligent and knowledgeable. Therefore, find me one news article that came out today regarding macro, micro, blah, blah, blah. So literally, I just made up a bunch of BS and I just wanted to search the web. So it searched the web, found an article that said one news article. Here, let me just copy that so it's easier to read. And let's see what it found. One recent news article related to real estate that you might find interesting, blah, blah, blah. Is this one published today? The article covers this, and here's a summary of it. Fantastic. Okay. Now, what do I want to do with it? Well, this is where I use this GPT list. I said list is basically taking something and creating a list out of it. So we come up here to GPT list.
And just in one step back, does it give you the link to that article, or is it just the description of that article and you go search?
Great question, and you would just tell it to give it to you. So
Okay.
please include the link of this article in your answer. You know,
I forget it's like talking to a person almost.
yeah. So list is essentially like, here's an example. Give me 5 good short ads about spreadsheets. So what I did, and it will give you a list in different cells. So what I said was, using this article that you found, give me five headlines that I could use with it. So here we go. I said, create 3 amazing headlines I can use for my Facebook posts that are short and sweet, blah, 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 blah. And so based on this article, it gave me Discover the secrets to navigate the competitive spring market in real estate.
And can you put like ones that'll get the most responses or
Yeah.
likes or I mean, you can go as deep as you want as far as, giving it instructions.
Again, it's only as good as your prompts. So, give it crappy prompts and you get crappy results. I guess that's the story of life with everything. But so, anyways, I wrote GPT underscore list, create 3 headlines. So you can see there's 1 headline, 2 headline, 3 headline. I did not put that formula here because it's giving it to me in a list. That's what GPT list does.
Okay.
So if I said, give me 5, it would have given me 5, etc.
Got it.
Now, then what I did was I said, using the following headline, blah, 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 create a 15-second viral YouTube script, so then I could copy that down, obviously, and it will create the full-on YouTube script based on that headline. Like you can keep going on forever, but the point is that this all would have started with literally nothing. Like you could wake up in the morning, have a fresh article that came out today, 3 headlines and 3 YouTube scripts that you can use today without touching it, you
That's
know?
amazing. Super
And
powerful.
yeah, anyways, what other things did I use? Examples of GTP web. I said, what did I do? Market trend analysis. So here's a query like current real estate market trends. And I said, give me seven, what did I say? Current real estate market trends. And well, it came up. So basically, I just wrote this query, interest rates for mortgages. And then I said, search the web on this. And these are the results it gave me.
Yep.
You could keep going. It's really endless.
It is endless.
You can have a lot of fun. I did this as another example. I said, basically search the web for this address, and it searched the web for that address and gave me, what did it say? It gave me this result. So if you have a list of addresses, there you go. Search the web, give me the results for these addresses. Now you could obviously make the instructions more specific. I literally just entered that cell. That's all I did. I copied this and I said equals GPT web,
Mm-hmm.
and then this cell, and that's what it gave me. But I could obviously say, how many beds, baths, square foot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So
So it's just endless. GPT extract. So this is fun. I was like, how else could we use like in Excel? What are things that I've done in the past? One of the things I've done in the past is I scrape the web for properties, but oftentimes because of the assessor site, the names came out all funky. Like it was Dr. So and so, and it was like first name, sometimes last name, and just a complete mess. And it's like, man, I just want that person's first name so I can load it into my CRM and call them, or I can send them a direct mail piece and the name isn't all crazy funky. Like now it's super easy. So all I did was I used this formula GPT underscore extract. So where is that on this list? I kind of was jumping around. There you go. So this is GPT underscore extract. And their example is I worked 12 years at Amazon.com and Apple, and then they wrote comma and then extract the company. And so it would find Amazon and Apple. In my scenario, I said extract first name. So I just literally up here, and then I wrote first name here, last name, ethnicity, male or female, approximate age, and then I used this extract, and it's looking at this. So you can see my exact. I'll do the exact formula I did. I said GPT underscore extract. Now, what do I want to extract? I want this cell. And what do I want to extract? I want to extract the first name. Now, because I know I'm going to copy this formula down and over, this is just Excel basics, basically. If you put a $sign, it locks that cell. So I want it lock column A over here because I always want to look up this column. And then I want to lock row 2 because I always, actually, I want to lock, yeah, I always want to lock row two because I'm always going to be looking up that first name. So I hit enter, and then you're going to see it's going to load the first name. Let me copy that over. So there you go. Now it extracted the first names. So we can drag these down, and there you go. And I just made up ethnicity. I don't actually know why I would care about that, or whether they're male or female or their approximate age. I was just showing examples and thought it was fun what you can do. So I'm sure folks will have much more clever use
Well,
cases,
what would be
but
cool too is
it's fun.
using the scraping that we went over a couple times ago. And if you're scraping like, county websites or some of the, legal public record data for, buyers or entity owners or whatever, you can scrub, or scrape all that data, drop it into a spreadsheet, and then extract what you need, because usually you're getting more than what you need or want. You just want a name and phone number if they have it. So going back to your last example, does it make, this is kind of back more to just the basics of prompts, but if you're looking, this is, I'm working on this myself as far as like subject lines and titles and stuff that's going to pop online related to social media. Do you put in like the top most responsive, or gets the most responses on social media? Do you get that specific with it? Like I want to post this video on Instagram to grow my, list of real estate investors and developers, and I want it to,
Yeah, I
them
mean,
to click.
if I was doing it, what I would actually do is find a YouTube channel that I liked, and I would literally go to their channel and I would copy every single video that they've ever done with the count of how many views it got, the date, and the title. And you literally, that would probably just be copy and paste, like select all, copy paste. So, or there's probably stuff out there. And then I would load it into like ChatGPT, and I would say, hey, analyze this data and figure out for me, what makes a good title. And actually I would make a GPT out of this. And there's probably courses and videos on this as well. And so I would load that into the knowledge base. Make sure you load in good information into the knowledge base.
And when
So
you do that, is it just the like the channel of that person you want to reverse engineer or emulate, or is it each and every video that they've done?
yeah, so I would load in each and every video that they've ever done.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I would make, this is getting kind of down a rabbit hole, but then I would make a GPT out of it that would, here, so let me share my screen.
Yeah, I
So
always I always go into whatever's self-serving for me.
it's
Josh
great.
said,
So you're gonna go to explore GPT, create, and then this is where I would go into your knowledge base. And let's say you have a YouTube video
got it.
that you absolutely love, where the guy taught how to make good titles. So I would go to youtubetranscript.com, find that YouTube video, paste it in here, extract the transcript, and then load that transcript into the knowledge base. And that way, instead of just using all the knowledge on the internet and best practices, somebody that you highly admire that makes great titles and has taught on the topic.
Yep.
And I have a good research, so I'll share it with you. And then you will then, load that in the knowledge base and say, using the knowledge base and what he teaches, create me a good title based on this topic.
Okay.
And then also in your instructions, I would also, prior to creating your GPT, do what I had just said about loading in 100 examples of
Okay.
great titles with the counts and analyzing, and it will say, okay, based on my analysis, 50 of the best titles that we found, and this is why. And I would also load that into the knowledge base as well.
Okay, I totally derailed you. And by the way, for those of you listening, I think on our first or second live stream, might have been on the podcast, but Josh did go through that whole strategy as far as creating a knowledge base and how to go about using the YouTube transcript. So go back and check it
Yeah,
out.
and you know what? Sorry, but I would also even say try out existing ones. Maybe somebody else has already created an amazing one and you don't have to create it from scratch. So just go to explore GPTs and
Mm-hmm.
just go to like YouTube titles and let's see what it finds. And maybe somebody's already created an incredible one. So you don't have to create it from scratch. I should always start with that. So
Great point.
yeah, try searching for, different things and let's see. Yeah, shoot, YouTube.
Don't worry about it, Josh. We get it.
Okay. Okay, cool. I don't know what's not playing. All right. So that's the extract. Obviously, you could go on and on and on. Some really cool stuff there. GPT Vision, I thought was pretty cool. If you posted, photos of properties you're looking at, or maybe you just have, a web search and every day it loads in 100 properties that you're potentially looking at. All I did was I pasted the photo, you know, of it. So I'm sure you could automate all this, but let's say worst case scenario, you're just going into Zillow every day and you're looking at photos. I mean, this is a very worst case, but rather than you looking at it, you have a VA do this or whatever, and you just say copy image. 100% this could all be automated, but let's just say you decide not to. So I am going to right click, copy image address. Let's paste that image address right here. Then all I'm going to do is say equals GPT underscore vision. And then you say what you want. So what do I want? I want you to say this house ugly.
Or how about this? Like find me. This would be the reverse of that nice house, which is some ugly, beat up piece of junk house. You say, find me more like this.
So how would you say find me more like this? Yeah, I mean, you'd have to string together a couple formulas, but you absolutely could do that. Absolutely. So here's an example of an ugly house I pasted earlier, and my exact formula was, do you see anything broken or anything that needs repairs on this image? And it came through with 6 things that it says needs. It's probably hard to read. Let me paste this in. So it found 6 things that it thought needed repairs based on that photo. And I didn't verify it. I actually didn't look at it. I don't know if any of it's true, but there you go. So again, everything is only as good as the prompt you give it.
Right.
So, there you go. So that was it. Man, I feel like this is enough. We've gone 33 minutes. Let's
Yeah.
wrap it up.
Let's cut
But
it off. We could go forever
yeah,
on this, but that's
yeah.
all awesome, Josh. I didn't even realize that you could use Excel with AI in that form. So there's a lot to be checked out and researched and done on that note. Cool. Well, that's it. We will wrap it up for today. Thanks for joining if you're on live. And if not, this will be posted on the Optimized Real Estate Podcast YouTube channel, as well as my website at rod-wilson.com. We will see everybody next week, and feel free to let me know if you have any topics you want us to cover in the future.
Or questions. If you have questions, we can always go back and answer questions.
That's right. I had a question for you, but since we went over 30 minutes, I'll save it for next week.
Cool deal.
All for now.